Before we start, please make sure to like this video and hit this subscribe button, so you never miss a story like this. And also comments where you are watching from, how many sons and daughters you have. Thanks. My name is Evelyn James. And right now, I'm being told to get out of my own son's house. You don't belong here, Evelyn. This is my home now. And I won't have you undermining me in front of my husband. That's what my daughter-in-law screamed at me. Face flushed red, hands shaking, standing in my kitchen like she owned every cabinet, every tile, every spoon. And what did I do? I told her she put too much salt in the stew. That's it. I wasn't rude. I didn't yell. I just said it softly, the way a mother says anything when she's trying not to start something in front of the grandkids. But oh no, Anna exploded like a firecracker at New Year's. Slamming drawers, tossing the ladle into the sink, sending sauce splattering everywhere. You're so passive-aggressive. Always acting like you know better. Well, newsflash, you're not the mother anymore. You're just the help. And that? That's when something inside me broke. I turned slowly, calmly, but my voice came out sharper than I expected. Excuse me? She crossed her arms. You heard me. You raised your son. Good for you. But now he's mine. And if you keep stepping on my toes, you'll be seeing a lot less of us, and your grandchildren. For a moment, the room went silent. You could hear the clock ticking over the fireplace. Then I looked her dead in the eye and said, Anna, you may be wearing a ring, but don't forget who held that boy's hand through 17 surgeries before he even turned 12. Who sat outside his dorm room when he had panic attacks. Who worked triple shifts when his father left us, so he could finish college debt-free. You think a wedding ceremony erased all that? But she didn't flinch. She didn't blink. She just smirked. And yet he chose me, didn't he? My heart pounded in my chest. Part from anger. Part from sadness. And part from shock, because my son, Jacob, had been standing in the hallway the whole time. Not saying a word. Jacob, I called out. Are you going to let her talk to me like this? He looked between us, like a deer caught in headlights. Then he said the one thing I never thought I'd hear from my own child. Mom, maybe it's best if you just gave us space. And that's when I realized I was being pushed out of my own family. Slowly, quietly, but completely. I never thought this would be my life. A woman who gave everything for her son. Who never dated again after his father walked out. Who sacrificed friendships, sleep, and even her health, just to make sure he never felt like he was missing a parent. And now? I was being told I was too much. Too involved. A burden. Anna came from money. That's how she liked things, shiny, new, filtered for Instagram. I was none of that. I came from hard work. Sweat on your brow. Love that didn't need cameras to prove itself. So, to her, I didn't fit the image. I didn't play the role of the perfect, silent mother-in-law who just smiled in the background. And so, slowly, she began to erase me. It started with smaller things. Moving family dinners without telling me. Not inviting me to birthday parties until the night before. Correcting how I talked to my grandkids, don't say sweetheart, Evelyn. It's too old-fashioned. Then it became bigger things, shifting Jacob's schedule so he was too busy to call me. Not letting the kids sleep over when they begged. Changing group chats to exclude me. And Jacob? He just stood by. Nodding. Smiling apologetically. Calling me dramatic when I asked why I was being iced out like some ex-girlfriend no one wanted to remember. But that fight in the kitchen? That was the last straw. After I walked out of that house, something changed in me. I stopped crying. I stopped begging. And I started watching. Watching how Anna treated everyone she couldn't use. And watching what happens when people forget that life has a funny way of turning things around. Because what Anna didn't know, what no one expected, was that just a few months later, her own mother would do to her exactly what she did to me. And suddenly, she wouldn't be so smug. But we'll get to that. Before we do, let me ask you something. Have you ever loved someone so much, you let them treat you like a stranger just to keep the peace? Have you ever swallowed your pride to stay close to family, only to realize they don't want you close, they just want you quiet? Then I hope you'll stay with me. Because this isn't just a story about a daughter-in-law. This is a story about respect. About knowing your worth, even when they forget it. And about karma, sweet, poetic karma, coming back around when no one sees it coming. So keep watching. Because this is the part where the woman they pushed out becomes the one they need the most. If you've ever been made to feel invisible in your own family, leave a comment with "I see you." And if you believe that respecting elders is not optional, share this story. Someone out there needs to hear it today. After that night, I didn't go back. I waited for an apology that never came. Days passed. Then weeks. The grandkids didn't call. Jacob didn't check in. The silence said everything. My phone stayed dry. No missed calls. No "How are you, Mom?" Just nothing. Like I had died and no one sent flowers. It hurt in ways I never knew were possible. See, you prepare yourself for life's big betrayals, cheating, lies, death, but no one warns you about the slow ache of being forgotten. Especially by the people you built your whole world around. Anna made it clear, I wasn't part of her vision for the family. I was a placeholder. Something to endure until she could erase me completely. And my son, my sweet boy who used to cry if I missed bedtime, was now a man who let silence do the talking. So I focused on what I could control. I went back to volunteering at the community kitchen. I started gardening again. I even joined a book club with women my age, some of whom had stories eerily like mine. Turns out, I wasn't the only mother-in-law who had been discarded like last season's shoes. One day, after a long shift at the shelter, I saw Anna at the grocery store. She didn't see me. She was yelling at the cashier. Something about the price being wrong on organic strawberries. Her voice was loud, shrill, the same pitch she used on me in the kitchen that day. People stared, uncomfortable. The cashier looked like she wanted to vanish. And that's when it hit me, it wasn't personal. Anna wasn't just cruel to me. Anna was cruel to everyone who couldn't serve her image. She didn't want a mother-in-law. She wanted a silent maid with no opinions. She didn't want a husband. She wanted a trophy on a leash. And deep down, I knew it wouldn't last. The way she ran that marriage like a business deal. The way she turned the kids into Instagram props. The way she sucked the warmth out of every room she entered, it was only a matter of time before her world cracked. And when it did, I wouldn't need to raise a hand. Life would handle it for me. And oh, did it ever. It started with her mother. Now, let me explain something about Anna's mother, Darlene. She was the original ice queen. Rich, polished, the kind of woman who only hugged you if there was a camera nearby. From day one, Darlene looked at me like I was a dirty dish rag her daughter forgot to throw away. No "nice to meet you." No warmth. Just that tight-lipped smile and the judgmental once-over every time I walked in the room. I used to wonder if Anna learned it from her, how to look through people like they weren't there. But the funny thing about people like that? They love their status more than their family. So when Anna got caught embezzling money from her mother's charity foundation, yes, embezzling, the same woman who raised her turned around and cut her off cold. No more spa weekends. No more shopping money. No more beach house for summer vacations. Gone. And suddenly, Anna didn't have a backup plan. She came crawling back to Jacob, only this time, not as the queen of the house. This time, as someone whose perfect image had shattered. I found out through a neighbor. Apparently, Anna had been escorted out of a board meeting by security. Darlene didn't even call to warn her. Just iced her out like an old email account. And guess who she called when the panic set in? Me? No. Not yet. She called Jacob. Told him it was all a misunderstanding. Said her mom had turned paranoid. She's losing it, she claimed. She's just jealous I'm becoming more successful than her. But Jacob wasn't as blind as he used to be. He'd seen the bank records. The credit card transfers. He was starting to ask questions. Starting to see who Anna really was, not the sweet, poised woman who smiled at his friends, but the manipulator behind closed doors. And me? I stayed quiet. I didn't gloat. I didn't interfere. Because sometimes the best revenge is letting the truth speak for itself. She reached out a month later. One text. Hi Evelyn. I was wondering if you'd be willing to watch the kids this weekend. Things are a bit stressful right now. I read that message 5 times. My heart didn't race. My hands didn't shake. I just stared at it, calmly, knowing exactly what it meant. The woman who once told me, "This is my home now," was now asking if I could babysit the same children she used to keep away from me. Karma isn't loud. It doesn't need fireworks. Sometimes, it shows up quietly in a desperate message from someone who finally realized they need the person they spent years pushing away. I didn't reply to her message. Not right away. I let it sit there, for hours, like a weight in her throat. Because sometimes silence says more than any words ever could. Eventually, I typed just 3 words. Let's talk first. She showed up at my door the next morning. Not the usual manicured, camera-ready Anna. No. This version of her had dark circles, cracked nail polish, and a panic behind her eyes that even concealer couldn't cover. For the first time, she looked human. Evelyn, she began, voice almost trembling. I'm really sorry for the way things were before. I was under a lot of pressure. I didn't mean to make you feel excluded. I stood in the doorway and crossed my arms. You didn't make me feel excluded, Anna. You made sure I was excluded. She blinked, caught off guard. I wasn't giving her the soft landing she was expecting. Not this time. I get it, she said, trying to smile. We didn't always see eye to eye, but right now, I just need some help. Just this weekend. Jacob swamped at work, and I don't really have anyone else. And there it was. The truth. She didn't have anyone else. Her friends had scattered after the scandal. Her mother cut the cord. Her housekeeper quit when the check stopped clearing. Even the other school moms were suddenly busy when Anna called. And now, here she was, on my doorstep, asking for support from the same woman she once humiliated in front of an entire dinner table. I stepped aside and let her in. We sat at my kitchen table. The same one she said was too cluttered for her kids to eat at. The one with mismatched chairs and a tiny crack down the center from when Jacob was 10 and tried to fix it with duct tape. You want my help, I said, looking her dead in the eye. Fine. But I need one thing from you first. She stiffened. Okay, what is it? Respect. Silence. You want me to help raise these kids when your life is falling apart? I'll do it. Because they're my grandchildren and they deserve love, no matter what mess the adults are in. But if I'm going to step back into that house, into their lives, I will not be treated like a stranger. Anna looked down. I want to be called Grandma, not Evelyn. I want birthday invitations. I want to be allowed to hug them without you giving me that fake smile. I want them to know that I've always been here, even when you made sure I wasn't. She swallowed hard. Her hands were trembling. I can't undo what I did, she whispered. But I didn't know. I didn't realize what I was doing to you. You didn't care, I said plainly. There's a difference. She nodded slowly. You're right. For a moment, I saw something shift in her. Not completely, ego like hers doesn't die easily, but enough to recognize she had hit rock bottom. Enough to know that maybe, just maybe, she was ready to start becoming a better person. And maybe I was ready to offer a hand. Not to lift her up, but to lift up those kids. So I stood. I'll come over Saturday morning. Make a list. Don't hover. I'll take care of them. And as she was leaving, just before she opened the door, she turned around. Thank you, she said. For not slamming the door in my face. I stared at her for a long moment and replied, I thought about it. Saturday morning came, and I walked into a very different house. Gone were the marble countertops covered in catered lunches and designer floral arrangements. Gone were the luxury handbags on the coat hooks, the perfectly posed family portraits. This house was no longer a showroom. It was a space in survival mode. The kids ran to me the moment I stepped in. Grandma. I nearly broke right there. I hadn't heard that word in so long, I thought they'd forgotten. But they hadn't. They remembered. They felt me. Even when their mother tried to erase me, they held on. And in that moment, every sleepless night, every insult swallowed, every birthday I spent alone, it all melted under their arms wrapped tight around me. I cooked with them. Cleaned with them. Laughed with them. I showed them what real love looks like, quiet, consistent, present. And you know what? That house? It started to feel like a home again. Not because of the decor. Not because of the money. But because I brought something into it that had been missing for far too long. Grace. It was pouring that day. The kind of storm that shakes windows and drowns out your thoughts. The kids had fallen asleep in the living room, curled up on beanbags after we made sock puppets and too much popcorn. I stayed late, not because Anna asked, but because I didn't want to leave them. I was putting dishes away when I heard it. A quiet sob. Soft at first, like someone trying not to be heard. But then it grew. Louder. Messier. Like someone who'd finally dropped the weight she'd been carrying for far too long. I turned the corner, and there she was. Sitting on the kitchen floor, arms wrapped around her knees, crying so hard her shoulders shook. Anna? She didn't even look up. I don't know how to do this, she whispered. I don't know who I am without pretending anymore. I knelt beside her, slowly, carefully. This wasn't the same woman who once rolled her eyes when I offered advice. This wasn't the sharp-tongued queen of PTA meetings. This was a daughter, just broken. I was raised to believe that image mattered more than love, she said through tears. That status meant safety. My mom, she never hugged me unless someone was watching. She never told me she was proud unless it benefited her. Her voice cracked again, and this time, she grabbed my hand. I treated you like a threat. Because you were everything I was never taught to be. You were warm, real, and they loved you for it. I couldn't compete with that, so I shut you out. I didn't move. Didn't blink. Just listened. Sometimes, that's all people need to finally speak the truth. She looked up at me, eyes swollen, makeup smeared, but for the first time, completely honest. My mom blocked my number, she said. She told me she raised a failure. That I embarrassed her by not holding the marriage together. She let out a sharp breath. And when I asked her for help, she said, figure it out. You're not my problem anymore. I felt something inside me ache. Not out of pity. But out of deep, painful recognition. I know what that feels like, I said softly. To feel like love is conditional. Like you have to earn it by being perfect. She wiped her face with the sleeve of her sweatshirt and looked at me like a child might, unsure, afraid, and longing to be told it was going to be okay. I'm not asking you to forgive me, she said. I don't deserve that. But I'm asking, will you stay? Not for me, for them. They need you. And honestly, I think I do too. It took everything in me not to cry. Because for years, all I wanted was a seat at the table, a real place in this family. And now, after everything, she was offering it. Not because she was desperate, but because she finally saw me. I reached out and pulled her into a hug. And to my surprise, she let me. She sobbed in my arms like she hadn't done in years, maybe her whole life. And I held her, not as an enemy, but as someone who finally understood what it meant to be vulnerable. I forgive you, I whispered. Not because you earned it, but because holding on to the pain was hurting me more than it ever hurt you. She broke again, but this time it was different. This time, it was release. We stayed on that floor for what felt like hours. Two women from two different worlds, finally finding common ground in the most unlikely place. Not through perfection. Not through performance. But through shared pain, and a slow, steady birth of something new. Maybe even something like love. It was a sunny Sunday in May. The kids were buzzing with excitement, balloons danced around the backyard, and the cake was already half-licked by little fingers. It was Lily's 5th birthday, and she'd invited everyone. Including me. That might sound small to some. But I want you to understand, this was the first time I wasn't just helping in the background or dropping off food. No. This time, Anna asked me to sit at the head of the table. I'll never forget her words. Mom, this party wouldn't be happening without you. Mom. Not Evelyn. Not her. Just Mom. That one word cracked something open inside me. Because for years, I had been in their lives, but never part of their hearts. And now, here I was, fully seen. Fully honored. But what came next? That's what made everyone freeze. See, Anna had arranged a little speech. She gathered the guests, friends, cousins, neighbors, even her coworkers, and asked for a mic. I thought it would be about Lily. And it was. Until it wasn't. She turned toward the crowd, her voice shaking slightly, not with fear, but emotion. I want to thank everyone for coming today. But I especially want to thank someone who's done more for my family than anyone ever has. People started murmuring, expecting her to mention her mom. She didn't. She turned to me. This woman, this beautiful, patient, stubborn, forgiving woman, showed up when no one else would. She loved my kids when I was too angry to see straight. She forgave me when I didn't even know I needed forgiveness. The crowd went still. Even my ex-husband, who had popped in for 10 minutes to show face, looked shocked. And then, Anna said the sentence I never thought I'd hear. She may not have given birth to me. But today, I want to say it out loud, she is my mother in every way that matters. A collective gasp. Followed by silence. You could hear forks drop. Even the DJ forgot to hit play again. I stood there, stunned. Tears welled up before I could stop them. For years, I had walked the tightrope of motherhood and rejection. Loving this family. Being pushed out. Coming back. Being shut down again. But today, I was chosen. Not tolerated. Not politely included. Chosen. And then, she hugged me. In front of everyone. She held on tight and whispered, I'm sorry it took losing everything to see what was right in front of me. My arms wrapped around her, and this time I didn't hold back. Because sometimes, the ones who hurt us the most are also the ones who are hurting the deepest. And healing doesn't always come how we expect it. But when it does, it changes everything. Later that night, when the guests had gone and the balloons were deflating quietly in the corner, she brought me tea. We sat together on the porch swing. Just two women. Two mothers. Not perfect, but finally real. I told my mom what I said today, Anna murmured. I looked at her, eyebrows raised. And? She said I was stupid for replacing her. I nodded slowly. And what did you say? Anna smiled, not bitter, not angry, just peaceful. I told her. I didn't replace anyone. I just finally recognized what real love looks like. I closed my eyes. And for the first time in years, I felt home. The end. If you've ever been treated like a stranger by someone you love, and still chose to love anyway. If you've been the glue holding the family together while no one noticed. Drop a broken heart turned red heart in the comments. Because your story matters too. Follow for more dramatic stories like this. Where pain meets healing, and love always has the last word.